Good morning, this is Bob Iaccino, Chief Market Strategist and Head of Research at TrendyTrade.com and TrendyTrade Pro, talking about the week ahead, February 12th. The trading week is chock full of some very important factors, the first of which happens early this morning with the Trump budget being released. It's supposed to have his infrastructure plan in there, but that infrastructure plan is supposed to be very heavy on state incentives and state-assisted spending. So it won't necessarily be something that the markets will act on. As I'm speaking to you right now, markets are starting to recover pretty well from last week's sell-off. That Friday pop that we saw with volume goes a long way toward giving us a little bit of a base in the equity markets. But we are seeing 10-year note yields hit 288.5 overnight, which is a 4-year high. We haven't seen yields that high in the middle of the long end of the curve since about January of 2014. Now this week, even though we still have some very good earnings that came out, still well above 75% on earnings beats, still well above 75% on revenue beats, still a double-digit blended earnings growth rate. But this week we're going to see inflation data, and inflation is what's worried the market and what caused the fear of inflation is what caused the sell-off that we saw last week. Friday, single biggest one-day down move that has ever been seen on a point basis, not on a percentage basis. But we get inflation data out of the US, we get it out of the UK, we get it out of Germany and the entirety of the EU, we get it out of Switzerland, we get it out of Canada. So if there's going to be global inflation pressures, this is the week that's either going to confirm that or could assuage those fears a little bit. So we're going to be watching yields, we're going to be watching the shape of the yield curve, and we're going to be closely watching that inflation data as the week plays out. But I do think that the base of the equity markets is in, at least in the short term. It has to get some legs, it has to get some volume, it has to get back up through some of those key moving averages on a weekly basis. This is Bob Iaccino, Chief Market Strategist and Head of Research for TrendyTrade.com and TrendyTrade Pro.